What's up guys, hope you're doing well. I'm KobokoPlays and welcome to episode 1 of Survival School, the series in which I go through each killer and map in Dead by Daylight and teach you how to increase your chances of surviving the trial. Make sure you have your toolboxes and flashlights ready with you because we're getting started right now. In this episode, we'll be covering the basic information and strategies that you'll need to understand, since many of these will be used in future episodes. Most, if not all of the points mentioned in this episode, can be applied to all maps and killers, and are therefore crucial that you're able to understand and carry them out. But keep in mind that this episode was recorded during patch 1.9.4, so if you're watching this at a later date, some of the points in the video may have been changed. First of all, let's talk about the objective of the game: to complete 5 generators to power the exit gates and to escape the map. Now, in order for you to do that, you must be able to evade the killer using either stealth or by stalling them and giving your teammates enough time to open the gates for you to run out. If your priority is simply to escape, you should be focusing on generators whenever possible. Cleansing totems and opening chests does not outweigh the importance of completing generators in most cases, and therefore should be left until the gates have been opened. There are a few exceptions to this however. For instance, if the killer is running the perk Hex Ruin, which slows down the progression of generators through Hex skill checks, or if you think the killer is running Hex No One Escapes Death, which enables them to instantly down survivors after the exit gates have been powered. In those cases, searching for the totems can be a risk worth taking, assuming that you don't spend too long looking for them. Apart from the exit gate, there is one more path a survivor can take to survive the trial. This second method is to escape through what is known as the hatch, or sometimes referred to as the trapdoor. The hatch spawns in a random location on the map and only becomes available for escape after at least 2 generators have been completed and only 1 survivor is remaining in the trial, be it by the remaining survivors being sacrificed or having escaped. The hatch spawns in after the number of generators completed exceeds the number of survivors remaining in the trial by 1. For example, if 3 survivors are alive, the hatch will spawn in after 4 generators have been completed. The hatch can also be opened for 30 seconds through the use of a skeleton key, allowing multiple survivors to escape from the trial early. As previously mentioned, throughout the trial you will have to evade the killer through stealth or by wasting the time through pallets and windows. Given that stealth isn't always a viable option, it is important for you to know how to act in a chase. The most important thing for you to do if you get put in a chase is to run with a plan. Running around aimlessly will surely result in you making mistakes and ultimately getting downed by the killer. The most common way of dealing with the killer while in a chase is the pallet loop. Pallet looping, or just looping for short, is the act of running a killer through pallets and only using them when the killer gets in range to attack you. This wastes a lot of the killer's time and allows your teammates to complete generators in safety. Keep in mind that the nurse and to an extent the hunters can deal with this by either blinking over pallets or throwing hatches over pallets, making the strategy risky compared to other killers. While pallet looping, you have to be aware of the distance between yourself and the killer, as well as the length of the loop and being able to determine whether you have enough distance to keep looping or be forced to throw the pallet down. While pallet looping is an effective strategy at stalling for time, it sets up for a strong endgame for the killer. Because pallets don't respawn after being destroyed, a survivor carelessly throwing down pallets can result in no pallets being left in the endgame. To avoid this, you want to implement windows into your loops if possible. Since windows cannot be destroyed, using them will increase the number of pallets available for you in the endgame and therefore not leave you completely defenseless. One important mechanic that you must be aware of while looping is the bloodlust mechanic that is available for all killers. After being in a chase with a survivor for 20 seconds, the killer will gain bloodlust, which is a boost to their movement speed. Having a killer in bloodlust mode makes it hard to carry out loops due to them being able to catch up with you, and therefore you have to make them lose it. In this clip, I have been in a chase with Freddy for over a minute and he is running faster than usual due to bloodlust. The easiest way to make a killer lose bloodlust is to drop a pallet and force them to break it, which instantly removes any bloodlust they may have accumulated. Another thing you should also be aware of while looping is that not all pallets are created equal. Some pallets may give you security for a moment, but once they're thrown down, you should leave the area immediately. These spots are very easy for the killer to force you to vault over and hit you as you land on the other side. Bad pallet spots usually have very small loops and can lead to easy hits for the killer if they predict the drop and go around. One of the strongest structures found on most maps is the killer shack, which if played correctly can guarantee a safe loop against most killers. This is a super safe section of the map because of the fact that it has both a pallet and a window for you to use. Ideally you want to use the window and preserve the pallet so that you can come back to it at a later point. However, it is still there for you to fall back on if you happen to make a mistake. When looping the shack, you want to make sure to quick vault over the window. This is done by sprinting towards the window and jumping at or around a 90-degree angle. Attempting to vault the window while running along the wall will result in a slow vault, which gives the killer a chance to swing at you and hit you just as you land on the other side. The quick vault takes half a second compared to the slow vault, which takes an entire second. The quick vault also benefits from carrying on your momentum and allowing you to continue sprinting at full speed immediately after the vault. It may not sound like much, but that timing may be the difference between being hit over the window and barely avoiding the hit. Take care if there is a generator inside the shack, since it can make lining up the vault more difficult. Keep in mind that a window can only be vaulted 3 times in a single chase before it is blocked by the entity. If this happens, run to another safe area if possible, or use the pallet at the killer shack to make some space between you and the killer. The ideal path to take when looping the shack is to go in an anti-clockwise direction and vaulting from the inside to the outside of the shack. When running along the outside of the shack, you can pretend as if you're going to vault the window by running at it but not actually vaulting it. Many killers will fall for it and lunge at you unsuccessfully, buying yourself a couple more seconds. There are also a couple simple jukes that can be done at the shack, the first of which is the window juke. After vaulting a window, run off to one side until you are out of sight of the killer, and once they begin to vault, crouch and walk into them to get behind them as they vault. Because killers don't look at their feet during the vault, they will not see you as you make the move. Just be careful when doing this juke multiple times because the killer will start to check the feet after vaulting, as well as making sure that you don't try to go for the move late and end up in front of the killer's legs, which will surely result in a hit. The second juke is done by running into the shack and instantly hiding around the corner and running out after the killer runs past you. When carrying out these jukes, keep in mind that you should use them sparingly so that the killer can't predict what your next move will be. Generally speaking, pallet looping is aimed to waste the killer's time while keeping you safe and not actually losing the killer. Occasionally, the killer might get scratch marks which will lead them in the opposite direction to you and cause them to lose you, but it's not something to rely on. Another strategy that you can use in a chase is to try to juke the killer momentarily and hide. This is a good strategy to use after a flashlight blind or a fatiguing nurse, for example, since you will have a couple of seconds to move in an unpredictable direction. It's crucial for you not to sprint while moving to hide, and instead lead your tracks forward and then crouch away to the side or even behind the killer. The killer will assume that you continue to run forward and will attempt to look around where the scratch marks ended, and hopefully by that time you will be far enough behind them to sneak away and avoid them. Be careful if you're injured, however. Blinded killers and a fatiguing nurse can still hear your cries of pain, and if they're wearing headphones, they will be able to tell which direction you're heading in. This can be eliminated by running Iron Will, which at tier 3 will completely silence your survivor from making those cries of pain. A careful killer may also look for pools of blood, which are left by injured survivors and may lead them to find you somewhat quickly. Now for some quick tips that are good to know but not important enough to have a section of their own. You can attempt to juke the killer by entering the locker quickly after turning the corner with quick and quiet. However, don't stay in the locker for too long, since the killer will most likely search the area thoroughly after seeing scratch marks disappear. Secondly, sometimes you might find yourself in a chase with no pallets or windows nearby, in which case you can try your luck with a 360. Keep in mind that these are difficult to pull off successfully and should only be used as a last resort. These are done by pressing WASD on the keyboard and flicking your mouse to the right to do a quick anti-clockwise spin, or pressing WDSA and flicking your mouse to the left to do a clockwise turn. You can set it up by pretending to spin one way and then finish the move by spinning in the opposite direction. This can be used to juke a hillbilly or even Leatherface chainsaw, however it is not guaranteed to work every time. And with that being said, the episode is now complete. If you're still watching this video at this point, I hope that these tips and strategies will help you survive more in Dead by Daylight and keep you moving up the ranks. If you found this video helpful, please leave a like and comment down below what killer or map you would like me to go through in the next episode. If you feel that someone you know might benefit from watching this video, don't be afraid to share it with them. Lastly, I would appreciate any feedback that will help me make future videos. Let me know what you think was done well and what could be improved on. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and press the bell icon to be notified when the second episode is released. Once again, thanks for watching and I'll see you guys later.